Parshas, we ran it up Shlita, Shlita Kahal. It's a minute to learn Mishnah. Yesterday we looked at a Mishnah that's very well known. We'll look at another Mishnah that's pretty well known. But generally, we only talk about the beginning part of it because we like to be positive. The Mishnah is in Hedron, Perik Yud. It's called Perik Chelik. It's called Yisrael Yeshua Chelik Leilam Haba. Shenamar Ramei Chulam Tzadikim L'Oivim Yisrael Neitzim Atay Masya Zayim Spoyer. Starts off very positive, and generally that's all we ever mention. That every Jew has a place in the world to come. As it says, your people are all righteous; they will always inherit the land. They are the planting the sprout that I planted, the work of my hands, in which I find glory. But then it turns to the negative side. It says the Elush Eilam Chelik Lam Haba. Starts off by saying that every Jew has a place in Olam Haba, but then it turns around, meaning that really everyone they start with it, but this is what they could do to throw it away if they so choose. You know. So what are they? The Eintermin Shemayim, the Fikurs, the Kibar Merab Fikurs, the Sparm of Historinim, the Loik Shalamako, the Mukalamako, Shisantim Mitzrayim, Lois Malachik, and Yeshem Arisefa, Abishalom Rapahoigas, Hashem Oisi. So it mentions a few things. The Rambam adds to the list, or he expounds on the list in the Mishnah Torah. The Mishnah mentions first and foremost someone who denies the resurrection of the dead, because if they deny that concept, why should they be worthy to have it? When we say Olam Haba, we're really talking about Tchiyas Mason. We're talking about the time of the resurrection that we're all looking forward to. So if someone doesn't believe in such a thing, then they lose out on it. That would be a reason why someone would, for example, if someone would, God forbid, be cremated willfully, because they don't believe, they're not expecting, they don't realize that their burial is really part of a journey. It's only the beginning, and it's not, and even the world that they go to after death right away isn't their final destination. They're due to come back here again, and that's what we're all looking forward to. And if someone denies that fundamental belief, that dogma of Judaism, well then they lose out on it. Simple as that. Wouldn't make sense, it wouldn't be just otherwise. Then it says someone who doesn't believe the Torah is from heaven. And then it mentions Apikorus, which we generally understand to mean a heretic, which elsewhere the Reform should explain what exactly halachically applies to that. And Rabbi Akiva also says someone who reads the outside books, what that means exactly, whether it means if he reads in a liturgical sense, books that are not part of our Tanakh, to read them liturgically, considering them as part of our canon, that would be also problematic, and he would lose his place. Doesn't necessarily mean, some people say he reads it at all, others say that he reads it in the setting of like Kriyas Torah. And also someone says a spell over a wound, quoting the Torah, quoting the Chumash, where it says, any disease that I place upon Egypt I will not place on you because I am Hashem, your healer. And Avashol also includes those who lack a place in the world to come, someone who mentions Hashem's name and recites it with the letters of Hashem's name. Those are the things that according to the Mishnah, the Gemara explains more, and the Parshas, according to the Mishnah, that's what it says. It's very interesting. Now, many of our neighbors accuse Judaism of we're legalistic. They say they believe it. Their whole thing is faith, and by us it's the law. We're legalists. That's what they accuse us of, legalists, as if we're the ancient Chinese, the legalists. The thing is, we see, what does someone lose his chelik in Olam Haba? Why would someone lose their place in the world to come? Not because they break Shabbos, not because they eat treif, not because they wear shackles, not because they don't put tefillin. Why? Because it matters of faith. That's it. It's for believing the wrong types of beliefs. The Sabbath Rav explains that Kadosh Baruch Hu has mercy on people. He understands that we're imperfect. We make mistakes in our deeds. But in our thoughts, we should at least, what does it hurt to believe the truth? What does it hurt to believe? What do you lose? You know, you could use Pascal's wager. You have much more to lose by not believing than you do by believing. So then, why not believe? So faith is what Judaism is all about, right? The Gemara says in Marcus that it says that the Habakkuk, the prophet, the Navi Habakkuk came along with Mido Achaz, and he put the whole Torah, he said, he can capsulize the Torah into one thing. What? Amunah, faith. Shenamar v'tzadik v'menosa yichya, that the righteous lives by his faith. That's it. So the whole Torah is faith. And we express our faith in the Kodesh Baruch Hu through our observance of the Torah. It's not the other way around. It's not that we just do these things because it's our traditions or whatever. No. We express our emunah through keeping Shabbos, through once in a while someone messes up or they're weak or whatever, they do tshuva because they believe, they know the truth. And whatever it is, they're not ready, whatever, that's a different story. But still, that's the question, what is it about faith? The Rambam begins by saying, in the beginning of the Rambam, he says that our whole mitzvah is ladat. We have to know. Maybe it's not about faith. And this week's Seder says, you were shown to know that Hashem is God, there's nothing else but Him. He says, Brisker Rov, he had a Masorah going back to the Nefesh Chaim, going back to the Gra, who was the Rabbi of the Nefesh Chaim. And he said that the koyach of that pasuk of Atareis Ladat, Einay Muvadois, there's nothing else but Kodesh Baruch Hu, that's a koyach that takes us into the supernatural realm. Why? Because it's a recognition that everything we see, in a sense, although HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it for incredibly important purposes, everything He created has incredible purposes, but the ultimate purpose of all of those things is just to show Einay Mulvadei, that there's nothing else but Him. And so when he was running away from the Nazis, he told his whole family, they got to a border, they were in a car running away, they got to a border, to a gate, and he said, everyone have in mind, Einay Mulvadei, there's nothing else but God, and we'll be okay. So the border guard saw them, they were there in the car. He went to get his superior officer to come to arrest him, to take him away. And the Brisker Rav yelled at his family, said, someone here must not be having in mind strong enough, Einay Mulvadei, there's nothing else but God. Have in mind strong, Einay Mulvadei. And when the Nazi that officer came back with his superior officer, they looked in the car, and they were all sitting there, and they didn't see them. They were invisible. Because of that faith of Einay Mulvadei, they were able to leave the physical realm for that time to overcome whatever it means, however they did it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved their lives because of that. And so it's more than faith, although faith, it all stands on faith. It's really about knowledge. So how are we supposed to know that these things are true? And so that's why a person will lose his place in the world to come, because it's an issue of knowledge. Because Rabbi isn't asking us to take a leap of faith. He has it clearly for us. How do we know? So we can know it. Rambam says in the 5th parak of Yisodei Torah, in the 8th parak, he says that we don't believe in Moshe Rabbeinu and Minuvoi Yisrael Matnei Oisei She'aseh. We didn't believe in Moshe Rabbeinu and Moses because of the signs that he performed, the miracles. Because if someone believes just because, oh look, he did this miracle, he split the sea, he did this, he did that, he did some great miracles, well, you might have in your mind, well, maybe it was because he did some trick, some magic trick. And we'll call it whatever miracles that were performed through Moshe Rabbeinu, because it was necessary, there was no choice. Like Hevi Raya and Nevuah, that didn't prove the truth of his prophecy. By Sark Lashkia to Mitzvim, they needed to Kodesh Baruch Hu needed to get rid of the Egyptians. They split the sea and drowned them in it. So why do we believe in the Torah? For Maimed Har Sinai. Because of the event of Maimed Har Sinai that we stood at Mount Sinai. Our eyes saw it. We didn't hear it from someone else. Our ears heard. Not the stranger came and told us the story that happened. The fire and the thunder and the lightning. And Moshe Rabbeinu went into the cloud and the voice spoke to him. Moshe, says Moshe, the voice of God told him. He says, Moshe, go and tell them this and that. And that's why we believe, because we were all there, because millions of people were there at Mount Sinai. Think about it logically. If someone would tell a story, forget about religion. Someone would tell a story, they were out in the woods and the flying saucer came down, and then they came back and told the story. Take it or leave it. You have no way of saying yes or no. You need evidence, whatever. There's only one witness. We don't know. But if someone will come along, you hear what happened in the middle of the Yankee game, the flying saucer came down, it had a message for everybody. If I told you that story, you'd say crazy. You would have heard about it. It was in the newspaper. It would have been, all the media would have reported such a story. And if it didn't happen, I wouldn't need to tell you. You would have heard about it already. You would have found everyone would have told you what happened. The fact that the Jewish people believed all the years in the Torah is the proof that the Torah is true. Very simple, because otherwise no one would ever believe it if it didn't really happen. It's because they're saying that they saw it. So there's no way to even make up a story like that. Even the Bible critics want to say it was the time of Ezra, Sefer, later on. Well, you're going to introduce a brand new story out of nothing, telling me that my great-great-grandparents, not so long ago, it was a couple hundred years, that because that you're going to tell me a brand new story? No, no one would have accepted, no one would have believed it. That's how we know it has to be true. There's no way to make that up. But there's even more than that. In this week's Sefer, what we just read on Tisha B'Av, we're going to read again Shabbos. Moshe Rabbeinu dares us to look throughout history. Please ask, learn history. Ask about the earlier days. From when Adam Rishon was created till now, till the end of time, from Ksei Shemayim to Ksei Shemayim, from one end of heaven to the other. Aniyah Kadavar Global is there, Nishma Kamoyu. Did any great thing like this ever happen we've even heard about? That a whole nation should hear the voice of God coming out of, and that they should all live. And that's the fact. You can study all world religions, do a whole course in comparative religion. You'll never find another religion that starts off with this idea, meaning we understand there are other religions that were based themselves on Judaism, but then they came along with something else to change it. And when they came along with something else, one guy in the desert, one guy in upstate New York, a few people, whatever it is, that's it. It wasn't a whole nation should hear. And so that's what it is. So and how could Moshe Rabbeinu, if Moshe Rabbeinu had pulled it off with some kind of magic and fooled all the people to think that they heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking, so how would he have known that no one else would be able to pull that off as well? The only way he would have known is because it's really true, because really HaKadosh Baruch Hu did speak to us, to the whole nation, and so that's a story you can't make up. And so when it comes down to all these issues of all of this, as for a person every Jew has a place in Olam Haba, because it's just basic knowledge, logic. It has to be, first of all, there's a lot of intentional misinformation that's gone around, but once someone actually makes a decision to study and find out, plain simple logic just shows that this isn't a matter of faith. And so ultimately, it is something, it's a matter of knowledge. And that knowledge is a connection. Knowledge is also a terminology of connection. And that's the connection that we get through keeping the Torah mitzvahs. And the Misteris lived a life with that knowledge, with that life of Torah mitzvahs, to save people off the street, to take whoever it was who needed help in a pure and holy way, And so it's something, a great thing to mourn, such a loss of such a tzedekah, and the way that we can keep that alive, keep that tradition alive, is that we have to accept upon ourselves more and more. We can't be happy with whatever we have. We can never be satisfied. We have to always be wanting more and more, and to live a life of Ata Hareito Adat, Ki Hashem Hu Elokim Ein Od Milvado.